Dana. After 15 years with Innovatech, we're restructuring your role, Marjorie Caldwell said, her voice laced with a satisfaction she barely hid. She sat across from me in the cramped conference room, flanked by Denise from HR, both wearing masks of corporate sympathy. Your contributions have been invaluable, Denise added, sliding a thick manila envelope toward me. Inside was the usual severance package: 2 weeks' pay for every year served, limited health coverage, and a list of outplacement services I never intended to use. I nodded calmly, voice steady. I understand. These decisions are never easy. Relief flashed in their eyes. Clearly they'd expected tears or resistance. What they didn't know was I'd been preparing for this moment ever since a misdirected email landed in my inbox weeks ago. Friday was my last day, and Monday? Monday was the start of something they'd never expect. 15 years. That's how long I dedicated my career to Innovatech, building systems, mentoring teams, and pushing innovation forward. I wasn't just an employee, I was a leader, the architect behind key technologies that propelled us into the Fortune 500 spotlight. Yet here I was, being ushered out the door with a polite explanation about company direction and consolidation. Marjorie and Denise spoke with practiced sympathy, but their words felt hollow. I knew better. The writing had been on the wall for weeks, ever since I stumbled across an internal memo revealing plans to cut my position and quietly claim credit for my work elsewhere. The patent for the distributed data algorithm I developed, the backbone of our flagship product, Ledger Pro, had never been filed properly. When I'd questioned legal, their vague reassurances didn't convince me. Then I found the damning memo, a strategy to push me out before filing the patent, hoping to claim it under Innovatech's name without crediting me. That revelation sparked a resolve I hadn't felt in years. They thought I was just a 56-year-old woman nearing retirement, easy to replace. But I had other plans. Walking back to my office after the meeting, clutching the severance package, I passed the glass-walled executive suite where CEO Victor Crawford animatedly presented quarterly projections. The same Victor who had paraded my algorithm as his own success last year, mentioning me only as a member of the team. I closed my door and texted a single message. It's happening. Friday is the last day. That evening, I met with Gregory Ellis, CEO of Precision Technologies, Innovatech's fiercest competitor, and a man who understood the value of discretion and innovation. Over fine wine in a secluded booth, we discussed the future. The patent had already been filed under my name, on my time, with my resources. Precision Technologies would acquire exclusive licensing rights. The press release was set for Monday morning, announcing me as Chief Innovation Officer. For now, I had to keep up appearances. Thursday and Friday blurred in exit interviews, knowledge transfers, and quiet goodbyes. Yet beneath the surface, I was orchestrating a corporate coup, one that would shift the industry's power dynamics forever. The day I was told my position was being restructured, I wore a calmness that belied the turmoil swirling inside me. Marjorie and Denise expected an emotional reaction, a plea to reconsider, tears, frustration, but I gave them none of that. My voice was steady, my expression composed. I understand, I said, even as my mind raced through the possibilities ahead. They saw a defeated woman, easy to push aside, someone ready to fade quietly into the background after a long career. But what they didn't see was the careful calculation beneath my calm exterior. I had anticipated this moment. Weeks ago, when the misplaced email revealing the patent situation landed in my inbox, I began to strategize. This was not the end, it was a pivot. I knew the tech industry valued youth and fresh faces over experience, especially for women my age. At 56, I was a target for downsizing disguised as company restructuring. But I also knew the true power I held. The distributed data processing algorithm I had developed was the backbone of Ledger Pro, used by countless Fortune 500 companies. Without it, Innovatech would be scrambling. As I packed the personal mementos from my office, the photos, awards, conference badges marking years of dedication, I felt no bitterness, only resolve. My severance package sat in the folder in front of me, a standard corporate gesture that meant little. What truly mattered was what came next. Walking through Innovatech's sleek corridors, I was acutely aware of the undercurrents: sympathetic glances from assistants, hushed conversations among colleagues, the quiet acknowledgement of what was happening. Rumors began to swirl, whispers about my exit, and the future of the technology I created. I meticulously documented every project detail, every password and protocol, ensuring a thorough knowledge transfer. This wasn't just about professionalism, it was about safeguarding my work, building a record of my contributions. Should the company try to claim the technology as solely theirs, I would have evidence to counter their claims. During my final exit interview, Denise mechanically went through the motions, pushing a non-disclosure agreement across the table. I signed without hesitation, fully aware of its limits. Anything I developed on my own time with my own equipment was protected by patent law. I had prepared well for this moment. As I left Innovatech for the last time, keycard surrendered and belongings boxed, I glanced back at the towering glass building. Inside, the executive suite buzzed with activity, likely strategizing how to redistribute my responsibilities among younger, less experienced, and less expensive staff. Little did they know that their plans would unravel faster than they expected. That evening, I met Gregory again. Our discussion centered not on revenge, but on rightful recognition and securing a future where my innovation would be valued and protected. The precision of the legal and business arrangements was comforting. I knew that starting Monday, everything would change. Weeks before the layoff meeting, a misdirected email arrived in my inbox, an oversight that would become the catalyst for everything that followed. It was a chain of messages between Innovatech's legal department and senior management discussing the patent application for my distributed data processing algorithm. The application, a cornerstone of our flagship product Ledger Pro, had not been filed. The explanation given was an administrative oversight, but as I read further, a more unsettling truth emerged. Hidden in the conversation was a strategic memo outlining plans to avoid listing me as the inventor. The company intended to claim the technology as its own, erasing my role and allowing them to leverage it without acknowledging my intellectual property. It was a calculated move, to push me out quietly before securing the patent rights, ensuring no credit or compensation would come my way. I felt a mix of shock and resolve. Years of work, late nights, and countless iterations threatened to be stolen. I couldn't let that happen. I took the documents to trusted advisors and intellectual property experts who confirmed my suspicions. The technology I developed on my personal time with my own equipment was mine to protect. I immediately began working on filing my own patent, meticulously documenting every line of code, every refinement. The timestamps and development logs showed that these improvements were completed outside of company hours, on my personal resources. A clear legal boundary that Innovatech had ignored. My connection to Gregory Sullivan, CEO of Precision Technologies, became invaluable. His understanding of intellectual property and experience with aggressive patent filings helped expedite the process. The patent office's unusually swift approval confirmed the strength of my documentation and the legitimacy of my claim. With the patent granted under my name, the game had changed. Innovatech no longer had exclusive rights to the technology. I was free to negotiate licensing agreements on my terms. The power dynamic shifted dramatically, yet I kept this success private. To Innovatech, I remained the compliant employee preparing to exit. Behind the scenes, I was finalizing a partnership with Precision Technologies, a competitor ready to embrace innovation rather than suppress it. As I signed the agreement to join Precision as Chief Innovation Officer, securing not only licensing rights but also a seven-figure signing bonus and equity, I felt vindicated. My work was finally recognized and valued. More importantly, I was positioning myself to continue innovating on my own terms, free from the constraints and politics that had stifled me. This discovery and the swift action that followed weren't just about protecting a patent. They were about reclaiming my worth, setting a precedent for how innovation should be respected, and demonstrating that no one can erase a creator's contributions when they are properly documented and defended. Knowing the company intended to claim my work as their own, I realized that safeguarding my innovation required more than just hope and good faith. It called for a carefully orchestrated plan, one where I could not only protect my intellectual property, but also reclaim the power that had been quietly slipping away for years. With meticulous attention to detail, I began documenting every improvement I had made to the distributed processing algorithm. Every line of code, every enhancement was time-stamped and backed by thorough records. But documentation alone wouldn't be enough. The legal landscape of patents is complex, and I needed the right allies. That's when I reached out to Gregory Sullivan, the CEO of Precision Technologies, a competitor known for valuing innovation and aggressively protecting intellectual property. Our professional respect soon became a vital partnership. Gregory introduced me to top-tier patent attorneys who navigated the filing process with expertise and speed. Leveraging my airtight documentation and personal development logs, the patent was approved remarkably quickly, a testament to the strength of my claim and the quality of the legal team's work. While Innovatech remained unaware of this covert maneuver, I quietly prepared for my next move. Securing the patent was just the beginning. The real challenge was transforming this legal victory into a strategic and professional triumph. Precision Technologies offered not only licensing rights but a leadership role, Chief Innovation Officer, recognizing my contributions and offering resources to continue advancing the technology on my terms. The signing bonus was substantial, but the opportunity to build a future free from the politics and betrayals that had plagued Innovatech was invaluable. In parallel, I ensured the well-being of my team at Innovatech, the 6 brilliant engineers who had stood with me through years of innovation and challenge. Gregory and I arranged senior positions for each of them at Precision Technologies, complete with raises and meaningful projects. They didn't deserve to be collateral damage in this corporate chess game. With contracts ready and plans in place, the days leading to my departure were a whirlwind. I maintained my professional composure, conducting exit interviews and knowledge transfers with care and precision. But inside, I felt the quiet satisfaction of a long game about to reach its conclusion. The irony was not lost on me. While Innovatech executives were strategizing to redistribute my responsibilities, they had no idea that their core technology was about to slip from their grasp entirely. Through careful planning, stealth, and unwavering resolve, I turned what many would see as an ending into a powerful new beginning. As the patent approval came through, a new chapter began, one that involved not just protecting my work, but leveraging it to its fullest potential. Precision Technologies, under Gregory Sullivan's leadership, was eager to incorporate my algorithm into their product suite and recognized the value of my vision. But beyond the technology, they understood the importance of a strategic partnership grounded in trust, respect, and mutual benefit. Our alliance was built on more than contracts and licensing fees. It was about a shared commitment to innovation and to rewriting the rules of an industry too often dominated by ego and politics. I was no longer confined by the corporate machinery that had tried to sideline me. Here, I had a voice, a seat at the table where decisions were made, where ideas flourished, and where recognition was given where it was due. The press release announcing my appointment as Chief Innovation Officer was crafted with precision. The headline proclaimed that Precision Technologies had acquired exclusive licensing rights to a revolutionary algorithm that would redefine data processing across industries. I was named explicitly as the inventor, a rarity in corporate announcements, and a personal victory in itself. The timing was impeccable. The very Monday after my departure from Innovatech, the news rippled through the industry like a shockwave. It was met with admiration from innovators and jealousy from rivals, signaling a major shift in the tech landscape. Meanwhile, my former team at Innovatech faced uncertainty, but we had planned for them as well. Offers with senior roles and competitive salaries awaited those willing to join Precision Technologies. Many accepted eagerly, relieved to be moving into an environment that valued their talents and contributions. Back at Innovatech, chaos unfolded quickly. The board convened emergency meetings. Executives scrambled to assess the impact of losing control over the technology at the heart of their flagship product. The company's stock began to wobble, shaken by the uncertainty and negative press. Gregory and I monitored these developments with cautious optimism. Our legal team prepared for any challenges, confident in the strength of our documentation and agreements. We were ready for any pushback Innovatech might attempt. Through this alliance, I had reclaimed not just the patent, but also the power to direct the future of my creation. The technology would thrive under a company that respected its origins and was committed to ethical leadership. More importantly, I had proven that age, experience, and resilience could not be dismissed or overlooked. In a world quick to sideline those who don't fit a narrow mold, my story stood as a testament to the value of perseverance and rightful recognition. The partnership with Precision Technologies wasn't merely a business move, it was a personal triumph and a beacon for innovators everywhere. As Thursday and Friday unfolded, I moved through my final days at Innovatech with practiced grace, masking the whirlwind of thoughts beneath my composed exterior. The severance package and formal goodbyes were the visible end to a chapter, but in truth, the real story was just beginning. Exit interviews were conducted with mechanical precision. Denise from HR dutifully ticked boxes, unaware, or perhaps indifferent, to the depth of the transformation that was quietly underway. I carefully provided transition documents, comprehensive notes, and thorough explanations of every aspect of my work. This was no mere gesture of professionalism, it was part of my meticulous strategy. I wanted to ensure there was a clear, documented trail showing that I left nothing behind out of negligence or ill intent. The opposite was true. I was setting a standard for accountability. Colleagues I had mentored over the years approached me with a mixture of sympathy and hope. Junior developers, who had once been hesitant to speak, now sought LinkedIn recommendations and advice for their own futures. It was a bittersweet moment, saying goodbye to the people who had been my team, my collaborators, and my friends. Marjorie stopped by my office one last time, her voice dipped in false concern. Kira, these restructuring decisions aren't personal, it's just the company moving toward a younger workforce, she said, watching me pack up my family photos and awards. I met her gaze evenly. I understand, business is business. Her feigned sympathy was transparent, but I offered no room for pity or underestimation. She was puzzled by my calm. What could a soon-to-be former employee, a 56-year-old woman, really do? Little did she know. Every item I boxed, the small awards, the coffee mug from my team, the badges from conferences, held memories of a career built on dedication and innovation. The finality of the moment was softened by the certainty of what was to come. As I left Innovatech's gleaming headquarters for the last time, I glanced back at the lit conference rooms high above, imagining the executive team scrambling to redistribute my responsibilities among newer, less experienced, and significantly less expensive staff. Their confidence in doing so was misplaced. That evening, I met with Gregory again. Over dinner, we finalized plans to launch my new role and unveiled the details of the press release that would announce the game-changing partnership. It was no longer about mere survival, it was about reshaping the industry and asserting the rightful ownership of my work. Though the days were filled with farewells and handovers, my mind was focused on the future. With every careful step, I was preparing to turn the tables and reclaim the respect and recognition that had been denied to me for too long. Monday arrived bright and clear, the day I had waited for with quiet anticipation. I dressed carefully in a charcoal suit, a symbol of the new chapter about to begin. The Precision Technologies town car was punctual at 7:30 a.m., whisking me away to their headquarters where my role as Chief Innovation Officer officially began. The morning buzz was electrifying. As I settled into my new corner office, floor-to-ceiling windows framing the cityscape, I felt a sense of calm determination. The press release had gone live just before my arrival, strategically crafted to highlight the significance of the patented distributed processing algorithm and my central role as its inventor. Industry newsletters and tech journals were already picking up the story. Precision Technologies had secured exclusive rights to a revolutionary technology and welcomed its creator, Dr. Dana Reynolds, into an executive leadership position. The announcement sent ripples through the market and competition alike. At precisely 9:15 a.m., my phone lit up with messages from my former Innovatech team. Miguel, the lead developer, texted frantic updates. "Complete chaos here. What did you do?" I smiled, replying, "Check your personal email. Offers waiting for all 6 of you." The news had rocked Innovatech's leadership. Board members convened emergency meetings, legal teams scrambled to analyze contracts and intellectual property claims. Market analysts predicted significant disruptions to their flagship product, Ledger Pro. Gregory and I watched these developments with cautious satisfaction. Our legal preparations were thorough, ready for any challenge. The industry understood that this was a turning point, one that demanded attention and respect for innovation. At my first team meeting, the energy was palpable. Reuniting with my engineers, now valued and empowered, we began mapping the future of the algorithm. Ideas flowed freely in an atmosphere of mutual respect and shared purpose. The media spotlight soon followed. Invitations to speak at conferences and interviews poured in. My story, once sidelined and overlooked, became a beacon for innovators and a challenge to outdated corporate norms. As the weeks passed, the market responded. Precision Technologies' stock climbed steadily, reflecting investor confidence in our leadership and technological edge. Meanwhile, Innovatech's stock faltered under the weight of uncertainty and lost contracts. This launch was more than a career milestone. It was a testament to perseverance, preparation, and rightful recognition. It signaled a new era where innovation is honored and creators claim their value. The impact of my departure hit Innovatech like a sudden storm. What had seemed like a routine shift in leadership turned into a full-blown crisis. As news of my patent acquisition and new role spread, the company found itself scrambling to manage not just the loss of a key innovator, but the sudden vulnerability of its flagship product, Ledger Pro. Board meetings were called in rapid succession. Executives pored over legal documents, contracts, and development timelines, trying to assess the magnitude of the disruption. For years, the company had relied on the distributed processing algorithm, my algorithm, to power their core offerings. Now, without licensing rights, they faced two stark choices: negotiate with Precision Technologies at terms heavily stacked against them, or rebuild the technology from scratch, a costly and time-consuming endeavor. Investor confidence wavered. Stock prices dropped steadily over the week as uncertainty took hold. Financial analysts published reports questioning Innovatech's ability to maintain its market position without the technology that had propelled its success. Clients began reaching out to competitors, including Precision Technologies, weighing options for their critical accounting needs. Within Innovatech's walls, anxiety ran high. The CEO, Victor Crawford, found himself under intense pressure to stabilize the company and manage the fallout. Rumors circulated of emergency strategy sessions and leadership shakeups. Morale among staff plummeted as employees grappled with the uncertainty of their futures. Meanwhile, my former team, now part of Precision Technologies, moved forward with renewed vigor. Freed from the constraints of the previous environment, they made rapid progress, refining and expanding the algorithm's capabilities. Early testing showed remarkable improvements in efficiency and scalability, positioning Precision Technologies as a clear market leader. The industry watched closely as the power balance shifted. My strategic move was seen not just as a personal victory, but as a challenge to corporate complacency and mismanagement. It sparked conversations about intellectual property rights, employee recognition, and the real value of innovation in tech. Behind the scenes, Innovatech's legal team reached out to negotiate licensing agreements. However, the terms we set were deliberately stringent, reflecting both the value of the technology and the principle that creators must be respected and fairly compensated. Negotiations were tense, marked by ego and reluctant acknowledgments. As the weeks progressed, more clients began migrating to Precision Technologies' offerings, attracted by both the technological advantages and the company's renewed commitment to honoring innovation and leadership. Investor sentiment improved steadily, reinforcing the success of our strategic partnership. For me, the fallout was validation, not just of my work, but of a broader commitment to integrity and rightful recognition in an industry too often dominated by short-sighted decisions and political games. The crisis at Innovatech served as a powerful lesson. True innovation cannot be suppressed indefinitely, and those who attempt to sideline creators risk losing everything. The ripple effects of my strategic move extended beyond technology and market share. They challenged the very culture of corporate recognition and respect. After the initial shockwaves, it became clear that Innovatech would have to confront the reality of intellectual property ownership and my rightful place as the inventor. Several days into the crisis, I received a formal outreach from Denise in HR, the same woman who had delivered my severance package just days before. Her voice carried a cautious professionalism as she broached the subject of patent ownership and licensing agreements. It was clear that the tone had shifted dramatically. "We believe there may have been a misunderstanding regarding the rights to the algorithm," she began carefully. I responded calmly, reiterating the legal distinction between work developed during company time and personal time with personal equipment. My patent documentation was unassailable. Detailed timestamps, development logs, and attorney approvals left no room for dispute. Denise mentioned that CEO Victor Crawford wished to discuss options for moving forward, but I made it clear that any negotiations would occur through Precision Technologies' legal team. That ended the call. Behind the scenes, my legal team prepared for any attempts to contest the patent or undermine the licensing deal. Our position was rock solid, backed by extensive documentation and strategic foresight. Attempts to challenge the patent were met swiftly and decisively. Meanwhile, Gregory and I reviewed the licensing terms we had set, deliberately firm but fair, reflecting the true value of the technology and setting a precedent for how creators must be treated. The terms included significant royalties, equity stakes, and public recognition of my role as the inventor, a key victory that Innovatech had resisted for years. The negotiations were tense, with Innovatech's representatives often more concerned with saving face than finding a constructive path forward. Victor's ego, once so towering, was now a source of tension and missteps. In public forums and industry conferences, the narrative was shifting. My story became emblematic of a broader movement advocating for innovation ownership, equitable treatment of creators, and the importance of properly valuing intellectual contributions regardless of age or gender. I was invited to speak at events focused on technology leadership and women in innovation, where I shared not only the technical achievements of the algorithm, but also the lessons learned about perseverance, documentation, and rightful recognition. Through it all, my focus remained on building, not tearing down. While the legal battles and negotiations played out, I worked with Precision Technologies development teams to accelerate innovation, pushing the algorithm's capabilities further than ever before. The ultimate settlement with Innovatech came not long after, a public licensing agreement acknowledging me by name as the technology's creator, accompanied by substantial compensation and commitments to reform internal policies on intellectual property and employee recognition. This resolution marked a turning point, not just in my career, but in how the industry viewed innovators like me. It was a clear message: creators deserve credit, protection, and respect. As I looked toward the future, I felt a profound sense of justice, not through revenge, but through rightful recognition and the opportunity to lead innovation on my own terms. 1 year after the upheaval that changed everything, I sat in my spacious office at Precision Technologies, reviewing the latest innovation report. Under my leadership, we had launched 3 groundbreaking products built on the algorithm I created, each capturing significant market share and redefining industry standards. The quiet satisfaction of seeing my work fully realized was deeply fulfilling. Gregory Sullivan entered the room, holding a bottle of champagne and 2 glasses. "Happy anniversary," he said, setting the glasses down. "The board wanted me to share the news with you first. Precision Technologies has officially surpassed Innovatech in market valuation for the first time in company history." I smiled, raising my glass in a toast. That's what happens when innovation is valued properly. As the afternoon sunlight streamed through the windows, I reflected on the journey, the challenges, the betrayals, the strategic moves, and finally the recognition. At 57, I had achieved more than just success. I had claimed my rightful place as an innovator, leader, and mentor. The industry took notice. Invitations to speak at Women in Technology summits, leadership conferences, and innovation forums poured in. The message I shared was clear: own your intellectual value, document your work, and demand recognition, no matter your age or background. My story became a beacon for those often overlooked, especially women in tech who face bias and dismissal. I mentored young engineers, encouraging them to protect their ideas and believe in their worth. Watching their growth and passion was a reward beyond measure. Meanwhile, Innovatech underwent a cultural transformation. New leadership implemented policies inspired by our model, strengthening protections for inventors, promoting diversity, and fostering transparency. Though they struggled to regain lost ground, the lessons learned from the crisis reshaped their future. Looking forward, my vision remains steadfast: to lead with integrity, champion innovation, and inspire a new generation of creators. Success is not just about products or profits, it's about respect, fairness, and the courage to stand firm for what you deserve. I am Dana Reynolds, and this is just the beginning.